YouTube? How's everybody doing today? Welcome to our double cast. And quite frankly, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I want to do Division 20. I'm assuming we're going for Division 20 in this situation right now. But there are a few interesting divisions happening right here. A few interesting things going on. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the stream. Gaurav, Shivanshu, Alex, Dorian, Brawny, Franco. How's everybody doing? What's up, Muhammad Gaming, SNM, Tiny Rick, Luciano, Neil, Soldier Matrix, Titch. How's everybody doing, guys? Yeah, I'm kind of looking through really quickly. I saw that K50 lost. What a shame. I mean, those guys are like a little bit of on a downward spiral right now. So it's a little bit of a frustrating one. They just got to get through this bad period. So many good matches. Yes and no. There are a lot of matches happening. Not that many that are evened out or ones that I suspect we will see an upset. We are going to watch a match that I believe we will see an upset in the next portion, in the second half of this double cast. Hi from Kingdom 149. What's up, Zed? I'm just going looking really quickly to make sure I didn't miss anything, because K2 Division 20 is the one that I'm looking at right now. It's the one that I think is going to have the most interesting firepower going on. But yeah. This first league, it will be next, not this time, but I'm telling you from after the top 32 are selected, after this week's break, man, oh man, we're going to get so many good matches. I'm going to start showing off to you guys a few of the big boys in their big strategies as they're going to end up heading against each other. Yeah, we'll definitely go take a look at Division 20. It's the closest matchup. There is a 28 versus 30 in favor of the folks that have the least power. So that's a good thing. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Osiris League cast. As always, we're going to start off explaining a little bit what Ark of Osiris is for anyone in the cast right now who doesn't know or see how Ark of Osiris work, have never seen an Ark of Osiris match before or any of the sort. So Ark of Osiris is a game that is based on points and time. As soon as this notification goes away, you'll see that you have an hour worth of time to get as many points as you can. The team with the most points at the end of the hour wins the game. The map is a mirrored map, two halves that are the same, and it's divided into two sections. The initial section and the secondary section. As you can see, teams are already picking up the buildings from the first section, which are available immediately to occupy. And the second section of buildings will open up on the 52nd minute in 3 minutes. Now, the most important thing on this map are points per minute, which are earned by taking over a building and holding onto it for 3 minutes. And once you occupy it for 3 minutes, it starts ticking for points for your team. 1,180 points total exist on the map, and out of them, 600 sit on the desert and sky altars, which are the most important buildings on the map. On top of this, teams work in order to achieve first occupations on buildings. These first occupations give them special bonuses of points early on. And the most important buildings to keep your eye on early on in the game are the obelisks. The obelisks are used to be able to teleport out of the initial zone all the way out to the obelisk's zone, utilizing limited teleports. A 30 versus 30 matchup where, as you can see right now, each team are going at each other, trying to get their initial buildings locked up and making moves for some map presence. Did I get Tamaris? No, I did not. Chat, if I don't pay too much attention to you guys while casting, I apologize. The number one priority is to focus on the cast, so don't get too upset. We're starting off strong for blue team, who are 2 men behind, but already occupy all of their initial buildings. On top of this, surprisingly enough, blue team with 3 rallies and red team with 3 rallies as well. Let's take a look. Blue team rallying their own obelisk, an enemy obelisk, and a secondary enemy obelisk, while the red team is rallying their enemy's obelisk as well, their own obelisk, which the rally just arrived, and the enemy obelisk as well. This is a very common initial play to try to catch the other teams off guard and potentially snatch an obelisk and slow down the strategy of the other side. The problem with rallying obelisks is that the march is a relatively long march. It's about a 2 to 3 minute march. And as you can see on the map, this rally right here is going to arrive in 1 minute and 46 seconds. And unfortunately for red team, well, they'll be able to barely lock in their obelisk, which means they'll be able to port and potentially hold on to this obelisk. Let's take a look. What we got here. So far so good. We're looking at the teams spreading around in the initial area when you're waiting for all the buildings to open up. What is very common to see is teams putting in pressure on the map. You can see that the red team canceled their rallies on the enemy obelisk to focus their forces up front. They used the rally mechanism to move forward. Hey Big Rig, how you doing, man? They used the rally mechanism to move 5-6 marches forward, which are now ready to defend the Sky Altar. Very, very, very strong play. Blue team also breaking up a rally right here. Is this another rally walking in? Another rally breaking in here and going towards this desert altar. If they manage to occupy the building fast enough and get in here before red team does, which they just did, and just stick their troops in here, this is going to be a stronghold for the blue team. As right now, there is solo marches going up against 3 full marches within the building, and more marches coming in to help defend this building. The initial division of the map is fairly even. 2 altars for each team, and all the shrines belonging to their respective teams. Both teams started rallies on enemy obelisks and canceled them in order to march troops forward. And that is how they picked up an altar that belonged to the enemy in terms of location on the map. As I mentioned in the beginning of the cast, this is a mirrored map. And so in theory, this is the red side and that is the blue side. This the blue side and this the red side. And the fact that red picked up this and blue picked up this, and it just goes to show you that both teams had the same idea when it came to the altars and the location of these rallies. So far so good. We're looking at an even playing field. Interestingly enough, there are no rallies set by either team. They're just trying to hold on to their buildings at this point with a lot of map presence, and that's okay. If the map ends up breaking even as of right now, that's not a bad thing. That is really not a bad thing. Blue team, because they occupied their initial buildings a little faster than red team did. As you can see, red team still missing 1 outpost. They're winning the point per minute game by very, very little. You can keep your eyes at all time on the point per minutes right here and on the totals up here. Of course, if you don't know what else you're seeing on the screen, this is the final time until the end of the match, the amount of participants on each team, and the amount of available teleports. It's clear that red team have yet to use their teleports. They have 5 more available than blue team does, which means blue team are able to move their troops, their cities forward, and therefore they are able to get onto the battlefield faster. One of the things that Brawny mentioned in the chat is that there are 2 other mechanisms in which you can gain points. The Ark of Osiris being delivered every so minutes will give you between 3,000 to 4,500 points. On top of that, you have provisions, which is like gathering. You go into these tiles, you gather the provisions, and from there, you send them back to get extra points. Provisions have won the match before for a team, and so have the Ark of Osiris. But a good balance lays between being able to control the open field in terms of buildings, as well as control the Ark of Osiris. If you manage to do that, you cancel out essentially the provisions away from the other team. Blue team, outpost of Seth, taken by the blue team, being a nuisance, trying to slow down red team very early on. And now the timers are locking up. Every team is getting their final buildings. There goes 1 and 2. And the points per minute game is sitting now at 590 against 560. A little bit of a lead still for blue team, but barely less than 100 points. Nothing very critical. But again, keyboard warriors of Kingdom 61 started already rallying, have a massive presence and pressure on the Sky Altar that's supposed to be theirs. And we have yet to see a reaction from red team. So blue team starting off strong. Blue team starting off strong. But it's 48 minutes remaining. There's still plenty of times to go. Which alliances are fighting? We're looking at Keyboard Warriors from Kingdom 61 and LG, who I don't know who they are, quite frankly. I apologize. I have met... Oh, Life is Good. I have met KW61 in the last Lost Kingdom. These guys are very, very strong. And so to see them on the Ark of Osiris is really cool. Red team's still not utilizing all their teleports. This means that somebody's marches aren't making it on time into the battlefield. There are 4 rallies so far being launched, but 2 of them are blue, and red are either waiting or mobilizing, and it's taken them a little bit too long. Blue team looking to be in the driver's seat very, very, very quickly. And unfortunately, it seems like what blue team's tactic is, which is not working out at all for Life is Good, they've been sending one guy with 4 insane marches to clear out these outposts over and over. Finally, a blue building is blinking, and the decision was the Shrine of Life. Life is Good decided the Shrine of Life swarm is what they need. A building that is on their side, on the blue side of the map, which is one of the closest ones to the obelisk to be able to be reinforced, which might not be the best of plays, as there is an altar that is closer to their outpost that they can, to their obelisk, that they can definitely rally as well as swarm. But red team are swarming more than anything. Blue team doing exactly what they need to do. Rallies after rallies after rallies, even though these rallies are on individuals, which I'm not a big fan of individual rallies early on. But again, the fact that these guys still have rallies battling out buildings, 3 in here and now 3 on the red side as well, bodes really well for the blue team for now. The swarming is definitely not the right play right here. You can see a full desert altar with enough troops of the correct type and the good commanders like Yi Song Ye. You're gonna melt 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and even 7 marches. And these marches could have made a rally and taken much, much less damage and inflicted just as much. Red team is not giving blue this sky altar easily. They have the presence on the map to protect it. The problem for red is that blue is already about 170 points per minute in the lead, and their lead keeps growing drastically. If it continues like this, red team are really going to have to have a tough time to come back in terms of the points per minute, as blue team now have a little bit of a buildings lead with a Shrine of War in their favor, as well as 2 outposts, which might seem to you insignificant, but there are 60 points the red team does not get. And in a moment, there'll be 60 points that the blue team will get. And so even though this Shrine of War never locked in favor of blue and red picked it right back up, blue is still around here to try to piss off this building. And on top of all that, they are still gaining the points per minute every minute. And so the solo swarms on the blue buildings are really not the way to go. The rally on a rally happened right here. This is a fantastic play. Red team went for the desert altar on the enemy side, and the enemy went for a rally. The way I know this is a rally is we can see all the marches breaking in here, and same goes for these marches, meaning the 2 rallies met in here. Very, very fantastic play so far. Blue team really solidly in the lead, not because of the points per minute, but because of the way the map spread is looking like, and because of the fact that so far it seems like the red team is reacting to blue more than anything. Blue also very much own the center right now. There's pretty much nobody here from the red team, and blue can start moving this Ark of Osiris towards their side. That would be a really, really good idea for them. Even though blue does own the outposts that belong to red team can easily go towards the Shrine of War as well as anywhere else, really. And so blue team looking to pick up the Ark. They have a designated Ark carrier, a fast cav march tier 1s with a Lancelot, and I'm assuming a Dragon Lancer in the back maybe, or something like that. And so the march is going to start going in the favor of blue team with this Ark of Osiris. I like what red did. Red didn't have presence, but they had the one guy, and the one guy suicided by dropping the Ark on the red side of the map. And that required blue to go around. That's a 15-second delay, which could have potentially, it did not in this case, but it could have potentially in in a situation like this where red were very close to come and fight for the Ark, to be just the delay they needed to get there. 620 against 450 is where the points have stabilized. We still have one building in favor of red team that should be locking in any moment. And after that, the fights begin yet again. Blue team trying to pick up a Sky Altar, but this rally seems to not be doing too good. It's cavalries against archers, and the cavalries are reigning supreme, even though, as I say that, the health bar on that Sky Altar went down drastically, but so come the reinforcements. Now, blue team yet again utilizing a rally to move forward on the map and then break it where they need their troops the fastest. And right now, red team starting to abandon the Sky Altar a little bit, and blue team coming in with swarms. It seems like blue team have been using the rallies on obelisks again and again just to move troops forward on the map, which is a really good play. Why is it a really good play? Because when you join a rally, there's going to be a good 2 to 3 minutes where you can go focus on something else while the rally gathers and makes it where it needs to make it. When the rally leader tells you rally about to break, go keep an eye. Now you got to keep an eye on that march, but it's all the marches are working at the same time in the same pace, and you don't have to keep an eye on your march until the rally leader tells you we're breaking the rally. Go make sure that you're good to go. Here's the thing. Nothing's over or done for in any shape or form, even though blue team right now owning 4 altars and really breaking the point per minute for red team completely. The Ark was dropped. Red team were a little bit of a pest. They had their cavalries come in and wreck the guy who was carrying the Ark. This is a nice little delay play, allowing red to potentially make their way towards here. And as you can see, there are marches making it closer and closer to the area where the Ark is. This march is trying to yet again sneak around. It's going to go into the provisions and come out the other side. And when that happens, it'll be right in front of this Ethelfled march, which is going to get massive, massive damage. It is carrying the Ark of Osiris, which means it has a huge debuff. So, what else we got? Buildings blinking. Red team trying to get control back of the desert altar, which they will be successful thanks to a rally as well as a little bit of reinforcements around the field. Now, this rally is very weak. If nobody else joins this building right now, there is a potential for blue team to try to steal it back. If this guy tries to get a couple of hits, especially now that people are leaving, if he pays close attention, he might be able to snack this back away from red team, but he chooses not to. 440 versus 260 points per minute. It's a very, very, very rough situation. And blue team, believe it or not, were very much in control, and yet it looks like red are slowly starting to come back into this. All they're missing is one altar to even up the playing field, and even though blue team is gaining more points per minute, it's because there are more buildings on the red side that need to be locked in. But the same can be said about the 2 altars, which will almost double the amounts of points the blue team makes. So, here's the big problem. LG are getting closer and closer. This is not LG from Kingdom 196. This is an LG from a different kingdom. They're closing in on the Ark. And Keyboard Warriors of 61 have an outpost right here. And so I believe this Ark might be in favor of blue team. However, the real question is what comes next? Because blue are solidly in the lead, but the red team are not letting this stand. We're seeing plenty of map presence, but what we're not seeing are enough rallies. Red team right now rallying this desert altar, rallying the sky altar, and on the other side, the sky altar as well. This is the kind of plays we need to see from red, but they have to happen much, much, much faster. Why? Every moment that passes, blue team is gaining a bigger lead. 300 points per minute now in their favor means 1,500 points in the favor of blue team, and that gap is going to grow drastically by 3,000 points the moment this Ark of Osiris is successfully delivered, which it should be any moment. Now, these guys can choose to take this Ark far away, or they can choose to deliver it right here. It looks like they might be considering just holding onto it, but there is the delivery, and there is the 5,000 point lead for blue team. 38 minutes remaining on the map. Plenty of time for red to come back into this. Red is going to need an Ark of Osiris as well as start to gain some points per minute quick. Their first action is a rally on the Desert Altar, cavalry rally versus what looks to be a good amount of infantries inside that building. A counter rally coming out onto the rally of Dirty Wolf means this Desert Altar is being kept an eye. It means 61 is really keeping an eye on this Desert Altar, to the point where when there is a rally started and it comes out of the other way, here comes the counter rally to stop the attack on the Desert Altar. So it's not only Desert Altar defense, but also counter rally defense to hold onto the major building that is the Desert Altar. If you spend that much power and energy into defending your two altars, you're not making a bad play, because you're guaranteeing to yourself that so long as you're keeping your side plus two altars, the game is all about Arks of Osiris and about provisions. So defending your two altars that are the closest ones to you by either filling them with troops as well as counter rallying is not necessarily the worst play possible. Now here's the thing. Sky Altar might fall because it is on the red team side. The rally is doing a decent amount of work, and there's plenty of blue presence around here as well as red presence. Blue could choose to give up this building altogether, in which case once they do, the points per minute will kind of even up. But the problem here is with all this blue presence and even more marching rallies, which are about to potentially break, unless they're going towards the Shrine of War, I believe this rally should be breaking at any point and going to help in here. Once that happens, very, very, very bad news for red team. Looks like blue team this time around are going to let their rally continue towards the obelisk of the red team. Let's see if something comes out of it. In the meantime, a swarm on the Sky Altar might be the success that red team needed. This swarm on the blue Desert Altar that is very, very full of troops is definitely not the right answer in this case. And on the bottom Sky Altar, a massive swarm followed with a nice rally in between. The Sky Altar is holding very, very well with tanky Richard the First. Tanky Richard the First right there. We've seen that quite a lot on the Sky Altar lately. Counter rally on the rally is coming out. And LG's forces are looking a little bit depleted. Even if they manage to take out the Sky Altar, I wonder how many troops will be available to be able to hold on to it. TIG does have a full tier 5 march right here, which is very important. And more red marches are making their way here. Sky Altar, one of them goes down towards red team in their favor. And the point per minute game is almost even. It'll even up once all the buildings are locked in the favor of both teams. Red team poised to take a third altar right now. Sky Altar almost done. Just the last little sliver. What could happen here is this rally could break and start going into the Sky Altar. We're seeing the rally getting on the Sky Altar breaking, getting destroyed, but nobody coming in to reinforce the Sky Altar. And that's why LG actually take it. You could have very easily sent a few more marches, kicked out one of your marches and sent it in to hold onto the Sky Altar. A little bit of a lapse of judgment, but not the worst situation possible. Now LG really needs to hold on to this Shrine of War long enough for marches to come in and help out. Obelisk in the meantime, boy oh boy, blue team, that rally on the Obelisk really did the damage. And big problem for red team right now, because if the blue team managed to port this way, it's going to be very big problems. However, thankfully for the obelisk, for the guys in red, the obelisk was a full archer's march, which means the cavalries everybody has here out the wazoo should be able to take care of this. They should be able to take care of this. 1 minute and 12 seconds remaining. And even though the obelisk did fall for red team, that is not the worst situation possible. They're holding on to a Desert Altar quite nicely. They have to get these marches to help out with this Desert Altar. They're holding on to their Shrine of War by the skin on their teeth, and it looks like they won't be able to hold on to it. But there's going to be such weak opposition in the Shrine of War that they could potentially come back to get it. This is going to be a really close one, and the rally seems like it's going to be victorious. But even so, there's so little left in this rally to defend this Shrine of War that this guy could really quickly make his way in here and pick it right back up. Although red is poised, there's another march right here all of a sudden. Shrine of War clearly not the priority right now for red team, at least. Rally coming in for red team to get back their obelisk, and a swarm of cavalries is everything red team needs right now. These infantries are not gonna have a good time, as we're looking at a lot of archers inside this obelisk. Now the question is whether blue team will have the audacity to port here or not. If they have the audacity to port here, as they can right now, they gain 5 teleports, and they can potentially port this way. They could be a little bit of a pain in the butt. The problem is red team has such a massive presence here that any blue team porting this way is running the risk of pretty much getting destroyed. And so it wouldn't necessarily be the smartest play to teleport, but all the attention that red have focused on their obelisk is what the blue team needs to try to come back into this. Because believe it or not, while all this was going down, red team taking over the points per minute game, 50 points ahead of blue team. And now they own 3 altars, one of which not giving them points just yet. In a few moments, we'll see another 150 points increase per minute for the red team. And a few moments after that, well, in a few moments later, you'll have another 80 and another 100 points total. So 740 against 440 means 300 points per minute more for red team. Right now, only 200. But now, blue team is 5,500 points ahead. And red team are now starting to catch up. This is where red team can start really making a change in the pace of this game. If they manage to keep a lead and start closing the gap from blue team is going to have to start working a bit harder and potentially try to adapt their gameplay to allow them to come back into this. And by doing that, if they don't adapt well enough, that's when red team can have an opening to keep pushing. Remind you, red team is in a little bit of a disadvantage when it comes to power, but they're doing everything within their power to maintain and hold strong. Plenty of red presence here means that the Shrine of War should be able to be held by the red team. More importantly, the Sky Altar being rallied, there are marches in here all over the place doing everything they can. They have to hold on to this building. If they manage to hold on to this building, this is really where they're going to start hitting hard the blue team, because that's a building that is on the blue team side. This Sky Altar is not very well protected. There is another march making it in and doing everything it can to slow down the slaughter by blue. And red, who are still focused onto their area, onto their obelisk, there are plenty of blue marches all over the red obelisk trying to be a nuisance. And while this is going on, the rally is going to take a Sky Altar away from red team, and their lead in the points per minute is about to diminish down to 50 points. Very, very good play in blue team. So much in control of the center. 3,500 points going in their favor means they're going to increase their gap further to 8,000 points. And at this point, red team start to panic a little bit. You're seeing right here a counter rally to the rally. Red team trying to take a page out of KW61's book right here, counter rallying the rally. The problem again is that if the Shrine of War falls, Shrine of Life falls, it's not going to be good for red. So red really have to make sure that they potentially cancel this out to stick troops in here to make sure the building sticks. Even if they take out most of the rally and the building falls, that is a win for blue team regardless. Thankfully for red, plenty of firepower is going to be successful to stop this rally. But they have to make sure they refill the Shrine of Life before they continue on with what they are doing. Sky Altar with heavy presence by blue team. Going down slowly and steadily. There are red marches all over who really need to focus on helping out the building itself. If it falls, it's going to really put a dent on red team, because blue team will have evened out the point per minute game and stopped the 150 points per minute lead that red team has, which helps them close down the gap almost down to 4,500 points. So they're dropping it very slowly and steadily with every minute that passes. But red team are going to need more, and they're really going to need to get an Ark because blue team have picked up 2 Arks right now. All of blue team's lead comes from Arks of Osiris. As the blue team have 6,500 points, will have 6,500 points out of this Ark, which means, oh boy. Let's go take a look very quickly at what's going on. Alice letting us know LG1 from Kingdom 196 having a little bit of a tough time right now during their Ark. They're also fighting a war in Lost Kingdom, which is a really, really rough situation to find yourself in, especially because some people want to be here, other people want to be there, and when you have such a conflict, it never ends well. It's 25 against 30. It seems like potentially LG1 giving up on Osiris League. No idea yet. We're going to find out sooner rather than later. KW61 doing exactly what they need to be doing. They're not panicking. They know they have the lead, and they know they have a very comfortable lead so that they're able to make a few points and a few plays. The thing that is most important here is that the blue team really wants to slow down red because they already own everything they need to own to win. At this point, if the game stays just like this until the end, blue team will win, and that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to maintain a positive point per minute lead and keep red team on their toes at all time. It doesn't mean that they're trying to gain points themselves, but they're consistently taking points away from red. A great example is this very annoying outpost, which is 30 points per minute that red just lost. Very, very simple, not very big, but it's a little bit at a time, and that's how you really win these things. It's by having the little bit of points taken away from each team. You can see a March walking out of this outpost of Seth, and Nudie might just come in here and take this outpost too, cut the points of red team by another 30 points per minute. Let's take a look, and 30 points per minute out the window. Very small play by Dipsy Tipsy. This guy can get out of here and give it back to red, as he will, because quite honestly, 90 points are missing now. 90 points out the window for red team for a simple, small mistake. Blue team, 3 altars in their favor, rallying for the 4th one. Red team rallying for one of their for the sky altar itself, and there's a counter rally coming up to defeat this rally on the sky altar. It looks like the rally on the sky altar is doing a good amount of damage, and there are more marches with tier 5s making their way to potentially reinforce this rally. The problem again is once this rally falls, all the marches from in here can make their way inside the sky altar to re-secure it. Red team putting a lot of presence in here, and blue yet again rallying the obelisk of red. This time around, there is plenty of presence by red to try to stop this blue team, and it looks like this blue team rally will fail in its attempts, but it's already just doing the little bits that it needs to do. KW61 holding on for dear life for the sky altar. Just like we mentioned, once the rally broke, some marches came in here and reinforced the heck out of the sky altar, securing it yet again. 4 altars in favor of blue. 390 points per minute in favor of blue. Boy, oh boy, red team are going to have a tough time. 9,000 points lead for blue. Red finally showing up in the center is good news. 4,000 points is what the next Ark of Osiris is worth. And when that happens, it can cut down that lead that blue team has by half. Half with just Ark of Osiris. What a crazy, crazy, crazy matchup. Although blue team are very much in control right now, there are still 23 minutes remaining. It's going to be very tough for red to come back into this, because red right now has to win on all frontiers. As we mentioned previously, there are 3 frontiers to Ark of Osiris. Each of them have a respective, I guess, priority level. Buildings give you the most points. Ark of Osiris gives you a big chunk of points very quickly during certain periods of time. And provisions are the slow game-changing points that can potentially flip things around in a very close match. Usually, it takes winning 2 and winning 2 of them well. If you're holding on to buildings really, really well and you're winning the provisions, you don't care about Ark. If you have the Ark and you're winning the buildings, you don't care about provisions. If you have provisions and Ark, that could be a little bit rough. That's the only one where the buildings alone, based on how you're holding on to the buildings, you could lose. But right now, for red to come back, they have to win on all frontiers, which means they don't only have to start owning buildings, they have to start owning Arks of Osiris and start sending provisions in and out consistently. Blue team, once more, rallying this obelisk just to be annoying. On top of that, outposts being taken out of their hands consistently. This guy has been going back and forth around here with his march. He's taking massive damage trying to eat this provision up. These are tier 1s. These are tier 1s just wandering around, getting like empty outposts and just taking away points from red team consistently. Once blue team yet again picks up another altar, which is about to finish ticking for them, the points per minute lead is going to be so big that the likelihood of red team coming back out of this is really diminishing. It all comes down to the next 2 minutes. If in the next 2 minutes red team managed to bring back their points per minute game, there's still a small chance. But if within the next 2 minutes, minute and 45 seconds, we don't see a shift in the points per minute game in favor of red team, coming back is going to be near impossible. Red team starting to put some pressure. Shrine of War being rallied. Shrine of War very well secured by blue team. Sky Altar being rallied, and it looks like this rally is doing damage and might even take the building away from blue team. But there's so much presence, including a counter rally on the rally right here, that even if red managed to take this building, holding on to it is going to be very tough. However, it will drop 150 points per minute from the blue team, which is good news for red. It is how you come back into this, by slowing down blue's growth. Rally breaks just before this altar barely stays alive. Solo marches just standing here instead of hitting the sky altar that is very weak. A bunch of marches now from the rally, from the counter rally nearby, reinforcing back the building means red will not be successful at taking this altar. On the other hand, siege walking on the battlefield, ladies and gentlemen. Cancer to my eyes, as the sieges probably slowed down this rally substantially, allowing blue team to gain more and more points. And now, keyboard warriors of Kingdom 61 are completely and utterly in control of this match. 11,000 points, almost a difference. 11,000 points. 4,000 points from this Ark of Osiris and 45 from the next one is 8,500 points that are still available from Arks. But red really need to stop the growth of blue, which they haven't been able to do. They've been able to take the lead for very short periods of time, but for majority of time, blue have been present all over the place. All over the place. Send out the Lohar heroes and lancers. Big Rick, I'm going to time you out in a second. I'm going to time you out. You trying to get me sick? And blue team are doing everything they need to do to keep pressure on red. Once they take the lead, they continually pressure red to the point where red cannot even think of fighting. Because every other minute there is a building blinking that they own, and they barely own any buildings, and so it becomes that much tougher. They did take a desert altar away from blue and did slow down blue's points per minute by 150 points. Good job, but still got to get a lot more than that. Right now, in a moment, 300 points are up for grabbing for red team, which is good news. They do need these points. Another 150 points will close down the gap. But as I mentioned, our time and the time red team has is running very low. And on top of that, blue team, owning the center. Red team have presence here, but definitely owning the center. And as soon as the arc drops into the blue side and starts marching towards blue side, even if blue do not get it at all, As long as they keep delaying red from getting it, it means there is not going to be a second arc in play. This is going to potentially be the last one based on the time left. If red managed to really quickly take it, then there could be a possibility where they get a second arc. But the likelihood of that happening once blue drop it on their side and start marching it towards their favor is going to be, it's going to, even if red take this arc, they won't have enough time to take a secondary one. With about 8-minute timer in between the arcs, and as long as it takes for this arc to get delivered, boy oh boy, this is not looking good for red team at all. Not looking good for red team at all. Blue starting to march towards home. They're going towards a caravan right here for now, just to move the arc a little bit further that way. There's a march trying to make its way straight towards the arc, but it's trying to go through blue marches. An Ethelfled and a Saladin is bad news bear, because even though there are a good amount of infantries in here, this Ethelfled is just destroying them with the debuffs. 11,000 points and 17 minutes left on the map. I believe it is safe to call it GG in favor of the blue team. So let's get those GGs up in the chat for both teams. Blue team seem to have been the superior team today. Even though red are coming back in terms of controlling the map. They own about half of the map now. And in a moment, they are going to get another 150 points per minute in their favor. But blue are pressuring back. They're just pressuring back. And there is not enough time left for red team to get buildings and get the lead. Remember that every time you take a building away from the other team, there's a 3-minute cooldown until you start getting points. Which means that even if red right now take the whole map like that, it'll take them 3 minutes to get all the points, which means at 13th minute, they'll start getting 1,180 points. And the gap between these two teams right now is almost 12,000 points. But with this arc, it's going to go up to 16. And at that point, there are not enough points on the map for red team to be able to make that comeback. And so we are calling it in favor of blue team. And now it's time to turn towards the chat a little bit. Let's see. Rick, if you don't rally an enemy with an obelisk to start with a lancer, I mean, quite frankly, this is like in this case, I have to say I'm against it. I'm very much against it. When we are in Osiris League, it's like competition. It's the top of competition. If you told me, listen, we're gonna screw around in Lost Kingdom for a little bit, I can understand it. Plenty of time to make up the stupidity later, per se. But in here, one small mistake and you're out. We're not at the point where you can make a mistake. In the next stage, when it becomes a group stage of the 32, you could potentially play around, maybe one match. But remember that in the next set in the next level of Osiris League, 32 teams are going to make it in. And they're going to get divided into groups of 4, which would be 8 groups of 4. And out of those 8 groups of 4, the top 2 of each group will advance to playoffs. And so you really don't want to be messing up any match because it's not going to end well. So red team stabilizing. Half of the map belongs to them, with the exception of one shrine, which then will stop the growth of blue team. Red team managed to stabilize 14 minutes remaining in the match. The problem is blue delivered Ark of Osiris, so they're now 16,000 points ahead. And red are about to lose a desert altar that is 150 points per minute for them, which is going to be even tougher to be able to be part of. For a moment, 590, 590 breaks the map even, but in 3, 2, 1, half, quarter, and there it is. Desert altar goes into blue, and there goes the points per minute again. You're watching LG1, Faye? Cool, cool. Yeah, they're not... They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. I'm kind of really liking the whole Swarm rally strategy. Even in Lost Kingdom. I really am liking it. Hey, Murrows, how you doing? Yeah, Big Rick. Now matches are going to get interesting. They're going to get very tough. There aren't a lot of matches that aren't one-sided right now. I think that we're going to, believe it or not, thank you, Miros, I appreciate that. Believe it or not, I think that we're going to see a lot of one-sided matches on the top 32 as well. I think that to an extent, everybody has a good strategy, but very few people... All right, Big Rig, good luck. Kick butt. Very few people from the top alliances had to deal with adapting. And so I think that when two big alliances are gonna go up against each other, who have never had to adapt on the fly their strategy, that's when you're starting to see people who crumble. And I think that we're gonna see a lot of big alliances who haven't had the reason to alter their Ark of Osiris match yet, because they always fought people that are much weaker than them. That's where we're gonna see really one-sided matches where even people like, I don't know, KW61, maybe even War Z, maybe, well, Haka got beat, maybe even K50, who had a very good strat until they faced something they've never faced before and were never required to make an adoption, to adopt their strategy on the fly, and maybe that's why they lost their match. I think that we're going to be seeing that quite a bit on the top 32. I think we're going to see it quite a bit. I think that the only real close matches are we're going to see much more of them in the top 16. And I don't believe necessarily that the playoffs and finals and all that will be as like even. I think they're going to be very one-sided to an extent. The only reason I can see matches being even is both sides making mistakes in their strategies, leaving openings for the other team to come back. Adopting mid-match is not as easy as it sounds. You think you can adopt mid-match, but a lot of alliances never had to. And so I think that once people who are so zoned in on doing something the same exact way, now you got to tell them to do something else they haven't practiced and haven't become masters of. It's going to be very tough. Blue team saying enough is enough. And taking all the altars, all the shrines, pushing red team all the way to the initial buildings. Red team holding on to their initial buildings only. We're talking obelisks and outposts, and everything else went blue. It is time to say goodbye. Everything went blue very quickly. Top 32 basically have the same strategies. Adapting will be key. Yup. Who are we watching next? I think we're gonna watch BWN against Anonymous Assassins. Did you look at Golden Thrones against K50? I did not. I heard that there was an upset there. There was an upset in that department. That's crazy. You see, that's the problem with the way I am doing arcs, is I'm looking for matches that'll be even so it's interesting. But when we do that, it comes at the cost of having missed upsets. Because quite frankly, there is no way to know this will end that it'll end that way. And so I need to be able to come up with a match that'll be a cool match for us to watch, rather than hope and pray for an upset, and if not, we're bored for 40 minutes, you know? 8 minutes remaining on the map. 8 minutes remaining. A swarm of red on their own obelisk, which blue took over, is pretty much the epitome of this match. What's up, Z? They could have. Z, a lot of things could have happened. K50 might have lacked troops because of their KVK fighting. They could have had internal issues that were caused because of KVK, which caused them to not be as focused. I don't think it's a game of power, you know. Like right now, Legends Gaming 1 are winning their Ark, but they're undermanned because they're fighting a war at the same time. They got a little bit lucky that they're leading right now, but not lucky before, you know, we get a little bit of those haters in here. Not lucky. They got a little bit of a break. The fact that they're able to execute their strategy with less people and execute it successfully. It's not something that is that you take for granted. It is a somewhat of a break, especially when we're talking about division championship. So blue team really saying enough is enough. We want to have the whole map, and that's that. How are things with UCS? I saw you guys had a convincing victory today. Let's see what we got here. Ready for Pass 5 to finally open up? Same here, man. Although I haven't slept that much lately, and it's not good. And tomorrow night, I'm going to have to stay up to record that as well. So I don't even know what I'm doing with my life anymore. Excuse me. I love that teams never give up regardless of how the map looks. Honestly, I'm pretty sure Red Team did give up. I don't see rallies. I don't see them trying to push buildings. I mean, they're doing here and there one rally once. I think Red have given up. This is not how a team... am I streaming? No, I'm not going to stream Pass 5 opening. I don't think I am, at least. Because most of the action doesn't really happen very early on. And the Chiskel and Dragothian and Co from Lost Kingdom 2 are going to be streaming. And I don't honestly feel like competing with them. There is no point for me to compete with the Ronnie and the Chiskel while they're streaming, quite frankly. It's going to be 1,100 viewers for Ronnie, 800 viewers for Chiskel, maybe the same for both. And then Dragothian and myself and whoever is going to be streaming at the same time, kind of fighting for the remaining viewership. I'm not about to, I don't like to get into that situation. I don't like to get into that situation. You're in the White Tigers match right now. Dark has lost but still fighting. What are my predictions for Lost Kingdom 2? I think that the guys from 93... What's up, Shinchi? I think that the guys from the 93 coalition have a bigger shot, which pains me very much to say. And I kind of really hope that Kingdom 93 end up victorious, at least for their sake. It's going to be a really tough fight for White Tigers, man. They are already one ally down. And with one ally down, there is going to be so much more pressure on White Tigers to perform. And there are things within White Tigers also that are important to keep an eye on, like the fact that, you know, they're about to go up against a 5v2 potentially, even a 5v1. And how is the mentality of White Tigers at that point? How is the leadership looking at things at that point? Are they still going full out, or are they saying, okay, well, in these cases and scenarios, things might change? So I don't know. You never know. Spanky? What happened? I'm rooting for a good fight. I have good friends in 93. I have good friends in 39. So whichever side wins, hopefully the other side managed to stick together and stay. Spending is good. You're close to those tier 5s, Shinchi. You're close to those tier 5s. 3 minutes remaining. We're just chilling right now, watching the end of this, waiting for the next matchup. I really need to go to the bathroom, but we're not going to be doing that right now. Lilith will love Lost Kingdom too. Maybe. I think that Lilith are going to enjoy Lost Kingdom one more. I think they're going to enjoy Lost Kingdom one more. I think that the fighting that's going to happen in Pass 5 for Lost Kingdom 1 is going to be a bit more intense. I think. I'm not entirely sure, though. Let's take a look if we see a little bit of extra fights going on. Somewhere on the map, there has to be something interesting happening. Red team kind of coming back into this, just trying to get their solo points ended, figure things out. It's understandable. They know the match is over. They don't necessarily need to waste themselves on trying to win something that's unwinnable for them at this point. But coming back and fighting and doing all the solo points and all that good stuff is very, very useful. Let's go take a look at the solo points, see who is sitting where. So red team has 2, 4, 5 people under 30, but they're very, very close. At least 3 of them are relatively close. And blue team should have everybody above the 10K ready to go in Dunzo. You just woke up, had a dream that someone used your account, speed up your tier 5s, and did not get to win an event with 20 sculptures. I won an event with 10 sculptures, and that was Constantine. LK45 will be interesting. Rose against TXI. That I've never heard of those alliances, but I guess we got to go take a look at the later Lost Kingdoms as well. You know you're an addict to Rise of Kingdoms when you dream about it. That is true. That is true. I can't wait till Zone 5 opens. I agree. It's going to be a lot of fun. The little bit of troops I have are going to go out the window. Out the window are going to go the troops. National Helpline. AA meetings, my man. AA meetings. Everything will be okay. You've had a nightmare where JWM kicked you and burned you. Well, so far you've been leaving more than you've been getting kicked, Missy. You tried therapy and quit ROK 3 times, but it keeps coming back. Boy, oh boy. Stream BWN, that's the plan. That's the plan. Yeah, no comment indeed. Don't you comment. Bad. Bad, Faye. She hops around alliances. Not calling her out. Relax, folks. Relax. G's KW61 blue side. Boy, oh boy. Let's take a look at the scorecard at the end. A lot more healing on the red side. Just, they picked up an Ark at the end, which is, I guess, good. The last Ark was theirs. But, Kingdom 46. Kingdom 61 against 2 and 19. Winning on the occupation score. Winning on the Ark score. What else can be said? Let's get those GG's in the chat for both teams and go towards our next matchup. Now our next matchup is going to be a question mark, and I'll tell you why. We're going to go watch 2 alliances that I do like a lot. We're talking about one of our sub-alliances, B&W, which has some of our JWM members in it. BWN. Jeez, I keep saying B&W. And it is B&W. My brain. Brand new world. Brain. And we're going up against Anonymous Assassins. 900 million power difference. Now, Gekko, what are you going here and not here, where it's a closer matchup like you always have been doing? Because B&W have a very strong strategy. Anonymous Assassins are a bit down on the power, on the troops, and on everything. Isn't it a main as well? The way it works is you have JWM and then the sub alliances, which are what makes a main alliance or a sub alliance. If B&W has its own sub alliances, it's a main of its own tree, but it's part of the alliance system that is led by JWM. Sub alliance, sister alliance. My goodness, you guys are gonna start talking pride. The bottom line is at the top of the tree sit JWM, and from there on, the rest of the awesome alliances that work with JWM have their own trees and their own sub alliances and their own systems. But at the end of the day, it is JWM in the lead. So that's what I mean by a sub alliance. It doesn't make it that they're under us or below us or weaker or inferior. So we have this battle right here going on, but if we see that it becomes very one-sided very quickly, let's go take a look at what I think in Division 21 is Warzy versus Anonymous. This could also be a nice little situation. Kingdom 149 against Kingdom 67. So we'll keep an eye on everything, but right now, let's dive into Brave New World and see how they do against Anonymous Assassins. How's last night? Did I have a good time? I had a great time. I haven't slept yet. I slept like an hour and I couldn't wake up to stream at 6 a.m. I was destroyed. It was a very, very good time celebrating birthday for a few friends, and also the one of the guys announced that he's going to be a father, so it's going to be a very cool thing. And so it was a lot of like, all right, we're taking a shot for your birthday, and then for your birthday, and then for your birthday, and then for your kid, and then for your wife, and then for, and it became Shotapalooza very, very quickly. B&W and IWM have their own leadership that is connected a bit with JWM. Of course, being a sub-alliance doesn't mean that you're ran by the big alliance. Being a sub-alliance doesn't mean you're ran by a big alliance. It just means that within, if you look at who run the kingdom, you have the main alliance, the sub-alliances, and the family and the farm alliances, I guess. That's how I see it, at least. You want to call it a sister alliance so everybody doesn't get offended, call it a sister alliance. As far as I'm concerned, B&W, IWN, and us are Kingdom 59. That's all that matters. And then we all work together to make Kingdom 59 a good kingdom. Sub, sister, independent, major, I don't know, most diverse, most good looking, call it whatever you want to call it. At the end of the day, it's all for the better of Kingdom 59. Plans to live stream past 5 opening? Probably not. I'm not saying you're offended, but I'm sure somebody out there is already going crazy. Thanks, LG. Funny game. What LG? I don't think there's LG in here. People and their sensitive feelings about terminology. I know, right? Anyway, let's get into the match. It looks like B&W are pushing hard. They take the first few buildings. They have an obelisk already in their favor. Red team seem to be very, very well dialed in. Looks like 3 rallies on 3 rallies. B&W rallying, I would assume, an enemy obelisk right here. And then what other obelisk? Their own obelisk and another enemy obelisk. So 3 rallies, 3 obelisks, and the same can be said about red team, who seem to be rallying their own obelisks first and only 1 enemy obelisk. A different approach to the tactic. 2 minutes until the rally hits this obelisk, and unfortunately blue team are a little bit slipping in here. Blue team are really slipping in here because there's a march 1 minute and 50 seconds away, and blue team have yet to show presence in here. Now, unfortunately for blue team, what's going to happen is the rally will be hitting before they can port into here, which can be really bad news because they're really going to have to be able to hold on against a full rally. And so far, only 2 marches making it in here, even a 3rd one, and a rally. Good. So a rally making it here. This will slow down a little bit the pace, level things up, but a little bit of I would say a little bit of a misplay, very small misplay here, getting that obelisk should have been as the like top priority. Red team making the same type of misplay, taking their time with their own obelisk, and that could be a really dangerous situation because if I'm not mistaken, blue team B&W are rallying their enemy's obelisks, and with 3 minutes march this way, the rally will not make it before the timer runs in here, but in here it will. The rally in blue for blue team against red will get here first. And so if red team cannot really close down the situation in this obelisk, boy, oh boy, blue team might start strong. Sorry, chat. All right. So red team, a little bit of presence on this obelisk. They're going to have to be able to hold on to it for a full minute. Hope you didn't tune into our Ark today. Dragothian, I did not. I stayed clear of AOC. Why? How bad did it go? I don't believe that you guys lost. I doubt that you guys lost. But probably had a little bit of mistakes here and there that you didn't want shown off. Good. 2 players on the opposing side showed up. Sounds about right. I think I saw that. I think I saw that, Dragothian. I think I saw that. I think I like glanced through on your previous when I was earlier today looking through, and I think I saw like 21 against 2, and I was like, it's taking them a little bit to like get in. You're gonna tell me nobody showed up? Wing is in a war right now against 196. Yeah. If it's Wing, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense if it's Wing. Hangover Sunday, I feel you on that one. The whole map opening up, and red team, interestingly enough, taking their time, taking their side of the map, but so are blue. Shrine of Life still waiting to be captured, and March is all over here, just not taking the Shrine of Life itself. And although 2 altars are in favor of the blue team, and we just got a mysterious merchant arriving, red team are already ready to start doing the work, and unless B&W really protect this altar with everything they have, this swarm might be very, very successful. It is slowly chunking out this rally, and oh boy, this building is potentially gonna fall. Wolf City coming in, Nidon, Hydron, and Chinese name I can't say, all making their way into this building to try to hold on to it. They have to keep reinforcing. YSG at the helm means the swarm is getting chunked out of its mind slowly and steadily with the arrows. Hopefully he is expertised. Plenty of blue presence means they can keep reinforcing the building. However, red are really, really, really into this swarm. And while this swarm is happening, red have a firm lead in terms of holding onto their buildings and having them locked in and good to go. Blue team in the lead by just a couple of points, and the point per minute game is pretty even. The problem here is when red team take this altar away from blue team, if they don't manage to hold on to it, that's where, first of all, first occupation might go in favor of red, and 750 points might go out the window for blue. And secondly, they can start taking that lead on the points per minute game. Blue team have the presence in here to hold on to this building, but they have to keep reinforcing the building more than fighting on the open field. Now, more marches making it closer and closer to hold on to this desert altar might be good news as they keep reinforcing, but they have to hold on another 50 seconds long. 2 marches right here fighting in the open field, the 1v1s, and not joining the building itself. They really need to reinforce this building, guys. What are you 2 doing? And the building has collapsed in favor of red and blue, missing out on that first occupation with 2 marches available to keep holding on. And if they manage to hold on, a 3rd march on its way. This is the kind of small things that really, really harm a team early on. Even if those 2 guys had marches inside the building, that's the time to get them out and get back in, because the extra 3, 4, 5 seconds from having those marches in the building is everything they needed for Marcus to come in and for potentially more marches to make it in, and so to hold on to this building. But B&W losing this altar very early on are going to have to come back into it quickly, or else red team might lock it in their favor and take first occupation away from blue. A rally on top of that on the Sky Altar at the bottom. Plenty of blue presence on the Sky Altar at the bottom. At least there is that. But how much can BNW hold against just what Alex says? Massive, massive, massive amounts of tier 5s. BNW. What can be said right now for BNW to come back into this? Right now, the points per minute are even. It hasn't gotten that bad yet. But red team are putting pressure on an altar and Shrine of War. And blue team, in return, putting pressure on the Shrine of Life and on an altar of their own. But blue team have to make sure they get that first occupation locked in. Right now, red team are about to lock in first occupation on this building. And once they do, they're not only going to keep running with a points per minute lead, which right now they own by about 150 points, but also we have a situation where 750 points will be awarded for red team as a bonus for first occupation, and that can be trouble for blue. That can be real big trouble for blue. In these types of matches, the little mistakes and the little things are crucial, and those 2 marches not going into the building was really a very, very big killer for the early game for BNW. It doesn't mean BNW lost. BNW still have ample time, 46 full minutes, more than 46 full minutes to get it done. And even one of our members, Alice, on the battlefield right here, trying to make Natasha go away. But while Natasha is pulling troops out, there was a nice little nuisance army hitting the Sky Altar. Now blue team going back into attempting to take the map in their favor. Baba on the battlefield with his tier 5s, not going to let this be an easy one for blue team, whose rally is taking massive damage as well as the solo marches all around. Desert Altar seems to be well defended. Sky Altar, kind of the same story, very well defended. Rally by blue team will fail in here as well, but the small swarm on the Shrine of War might be an interesting one. Shrine of War is well defended, but not as much. It's not as much well defended. And so this rampage swarm could work. It could take the Shrine of War away from red team. It'll cost him quite a bit, but this will slow down the points per minute for the red team, who are now 300 points ahead. And it'll give the extra buffs to blue team, which is what they need in order to go back and fight these massive tier 5s all over the map. Red team are not staying naive. They're about to take a Shrine of War away from blue team unless blue team joins the building last second. I don't know if you guys saw that, but that was crazy joining last second. And here is exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to buildings. The fact that that march made it in last second, it gave enough time for Nidon to make it closer. Now, Nidon is not going for the building for some reason. He is just like Sibib trying to just hit the rally. And while I understand the point of trying to break the rally, if the building falls, everything falls. So these guys really need to focus on making sure the building holds no matter what. Nidon kind of figuring that one out and making it this way. Hopefully he's going to pull his march out in a second and stick this one back in. If there it is, Nidon coming out really quickly, needs to put his troops back in before it's too late. Come on. And what just happened? He had 2 marches in there? I'm confused. But anyway, Shrine of War falling towards red team. And even though blue picked up the enemy Shrine of War, they lost their own. And so it was an even trade up. On top of all that, Tintin with a Charlemagne rally on the Shrine of Life. Charlemagne rally on the Shrine of Life, putting in the work, and an obelisk blinking for blue team might be bad news. It is very decently protected. Unfortunately, it's cavalries against archers, which could have been a scary situation. Blue team taking care of their obelisk is excellent, but losing this building, boy, oh boy, that was such a screw up by Nidon, and he knows it, trying to get his team back. And what is this march? This has to be a bug, right? The rally right here the Charlemagne rally seems to have failed, and it seems like there was either a counter rally or a lot of marches trying to hit it. A lot of presence on the map for red and blue. But again, red with 300 points per minute in the lead means that they are going to be firmly in the lead and gain that nice little 2,000 point lead. Blue team doing what blue team has to do. They're carrying the Ark of Osiris back, and as it's worth 3,000 points, what they're doing is actually they're closing that gap that red team have built and even gaining themselves a little bit of a lead to ensure that they now have some breathing room to come back into the point per minute match. Right now, only the points per minute are a factor. Once the Ark is delivered, there's going to be about 500, 600 points worth of a lead for blue team, and it'll allow them to even more, probably like 800, 900 points. And that's a little bit of time, about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, that the red team has that they need to catch up. And that'll give the time for blue team to get buildings and get back a little bit of control on the map. The problem is red team are controlling the map and controlling it hard. They're going after obelisks. They're going after shrines of war. They're going after everything that is blue. And blue might be a bit too focused on center, which is an important situation for them right now. Baba showing up with his marches and stopping the Ark from getting carried is a tragedy for blue team, who really need this Ark to get home. And the thing is, they were going to use this Ark to build a little bit of a lead. But the longer this Ark takes to get back home, that lead is going to be much smaller. So right now that lead is less than 900 points, and it's aiming towards less than 800 points. By the time this Ark will be delivered, if it's delivered cleanly, which it won't be because we have another very, very annoying march right here coming in strong, we are seeing Bali carrying the Ark of Osiris with, well, now he fell, but he had sieges in there. And I feel sick just looking at that. That was really, really bad. Really, really, really bad. I'm not sure. I'm sure he didn't do it by on purpose. I'm pretty sure this was like a provisions march, because it went down like that, which means it wasn't that big. So I'm assuming it was a provisions march that just tried to move the Ark further out in towards blue team. Now, someone is about to pick up the Ark. Baba, nonetheless, picking up the Ark of Osiris. And looks like instantly dropping it. Okay, there goes his march out the window. And so while the Ark fights are happening, blue buildings and red buildings blinking everywhere, this is where blue can really start pissing red off. The rallies are not being successful. An Osman rally is not the most advisable rally. It is indeed taking a lot of damage from the Desert Altar. And Tintin really, really laying into this rally. It's going to make it a very, very tough time for blue team, who are losing by 280 points per minute. Their Sky Altar is being rallied, and they're doing everything they can to hold on to it as well, which is good news. And their Ark is still captured by red and making its way back. Now, if red get their Ark and get out of here, which technically they can just go this way. They don't have to go all the way home. They can go to their Shrine of War that belongs to them right here. Blue team does have a lot of presence here, and so making it this way might be a very, very bad idea. But the fact that red team are now delaying the Ark of Osiris only works in their favor. Because up to the moment blue started marching the Ark back home, they were supposed to have about 1,100 point lead after the Ark is delivered. But now, if the Ark gets delivered for blue, that lead is only going to be about 400 to 500 points, which means red are gaining points and making sure to make the first Ark irrelevant. If they manage to also take it, it'll be fantastic. But even if they give it to blue, within a minute, we're going to see the Ark not be enough for blue to be able to get a lead. The thing about having a lead is that the moment you have a lead, you have some breathing room. Because now it's up to the other team with time to close that gap. So even if you're losing the points per minute game, but you pick up an Ark of Osiris, which gives you 1,100 points of a lead, which is possible, it gives you those 2 to 3 minutes worth of breathing time where you can start setting up rallies, getting buildings, and get those occupation timers go down. And so right now, we're looking live at the point where the Ark of Osiris will no longer give blue a lead. And so because it won't give blue a lead, it's going to be very tough for blue to have that breathing room to do what they need to do. On top of that, red team all over the map. Blue being a little bit of a nuisance with a rally on an obelisk, which is not going to be very successful at all. I don't think red are even bothering about this rally whatsoever. And the swarms all over the place and rallies all over the place. Blue are just struggling so hard to get that win against anonymous assassins, who are a huge alliance. Okay, they're a huge alliance. They're almost 900 million points ahead of B&W, so keep that in mind. And they're marching tier 5s out the wazoo. They're marching tier 5s out the wazoo on this arc. A Alexander rally not able to do anything against this Richard in the Desert Altar. Damage for damage, Alexander is taking the massive hits, and Richard is holding on very, very well. A lot of red buildings are blinking, and 37 minutes remaining means blue team are not out of this yet. We're only seeing about a 4,000 point difference between the two teams. Blue team can definitely get back into this match. They can definitely start taking the wheel away from the red team by picking up buildings on the map. First building, very important. The Shrine of War was taken away from red team, and now blue need to hold on to it and start gaining those points. They're starting to drop that point per minute lead that red team are consistently having. But as I said that, the Shrine of Life gets taken away from them, and it becomes a back and forth yet again. What do you do as blue team right now? Blue team right now kind of have to an extent, give up on this arc, in my opinion. There's too much red presence, which means all they're doing here is delaying the inevitable. And at the same time, they're losing the point per minute match. If you ask me, all these marches should be heading out towards rallies and start to take the buildings. Allow the red team to take the Ark of Osiris. Focus on the points per minute and get ready for the next arc. If the blue team managed to close down this gap that is right now 490 points per minute in favor of red, down to taking a lead, then now they can focus on an arc which will give them 3,500 points. The next arc is 3,500 points, and start closing this gap. Right now, blue team have to start closing the gap in some shape or form. The bigger the lead for red team, the worse it gets for blue, and the harder it is to come back. I know it's like the most obvious, most ridiculous thing I could say. I mean, if the lead is bigger for one team, of course, it's going to be hard for the other team to come back. But when the game is a game of points per minute, meaning time has a huge factor, the bigger the lead is, the harder the comeback is, not because it's impossible, but you just run out of time. So that's what I mean by not having too big of a lead, because as of right now, if blue team somehow by some miracle pick up the whole map and hold on to everything, it'll take them 5 minutes to get back into this. 5 long minutes to get back into this, which is ample time for red team to mount a counteroffensive. Because remember, there's 3 minutes worth of cooldown until all the map is yours, and then 5 minutes until you close this gap. So that's 8 long minutes where red team will still be in the lead. And now the question is whether red team can get to a point where they have enough points, so even 20 minutes remaining, there just won't be enough blue team can do. With the Ark of Osiris going in favor of red, things are getting from bad to worse. Because now we're looking at 8,000 points of a lead for red team. Still a very, very doable gap. But a very, very tough situation to find yourself 34 minutes before the end of your arc. And you're trying to do everything you can to get back into this. Sorry about that, chat. I haven't given up on this cast yet, and I haven't given up on BMW at all. But BMW have to start putting pressure on the map and have to start focusing more on gaining buildings and points per minute. That's my main feedback to them. I'm not seeing enough rallies out there. There are 3 by blue team and 5 by red team. Blue team have to be rallying consistently. They need a little bit more firepower on the open field to help the rallies, like in this situation right here. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Having the field help out clear so that the rally can do the work, and also have the reinforcements on the rally itself, which is very important. This is where a Desert Altar can be taken away from red, but red also has such a huge presence here that even though blue are doing a really good job taking a lot more damage than they're dealing, that's for sure, but they're doing everything they can to try to take this Desert Altar away. Red team with presence all over the place and trying to keep blue busy. This is not a rally that's supposed to be a victorious rally, and yet a rally is here and swarms of red and more red marches coming in, and you can see Rampage focusing up back into the obelisk. Mr. Ken, Genie, Daniel F, Pepe Jr. Shout out to Pepe, really cool dude. Really one of the nicest people in JWM and in BMW. Just too much happening on the map that red team are more in control of, and this has to do with lots of tier 5s on the one side versus less tier 5s on the other. Blue team are starting to stabilize. Sky Altar in their favor is fantastic news. Shrine of War and Shrine of Life in their favor is fantastic news, and the points per minute gap dropped, and there goes 30 points out the window. A little sneaky play by anonymous assassins. So 440 point lead for red team is still a lot, but blue team are slowly trying to close that out. Hitting now a Desert Altar. There's just a swarm in here for now. There's no rally anymore. This rally apparently was not successful, but the Shrine of War is blinking. Red team with George's rally and the swarm making it in. Shout out to George, the cool guy as well. Really nice guy. Was super helpful with information and reports and all that during their war with Kingdom 149. Always answering questions, being a nice guy. So thank you very much, George, and shout out to you, my man. His rally taking the Shrine of War back. It looks like blue team take a building, manage to lock it up, and then lose it. And they don't lose it because they're not able, they don't have the forces in it. You're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 marches. But when Baba comes in with 4 tier 5 full rally marches and just blasts into you, and then a rally full of tier 5s comes in as well, it's super tough to hold on to anything. 30 minutes remaining and 10,000 points almost there, about 9,300 point lead for the red team. We're starting to see the end. We are definitely starting to see the end of this match. There is... Where's the other caster? Brawny, I thought you were supposed to cast. I don't remember who was supposed to cast with me today. I'm not going to lie to you, Brawny. Today was not a good day. I didn't even wake up for the first cast. And on top of that, my father just left. We had to pretty much clean and fix my whole apartment because it's been a mess. I've been living in like a hole pretty much because I just don't have time to clean and organize and do what I need to do. And I didn't have enough storage space in the house, and my closet broke, and it was a bunch of nightmare. So I didn't even prepare for these casts like I like to. If anyone wants to duo cast the final slot at 7 p.m., I'm totally down to do like a nice little double cast. But I just didn't have the time. Honestly, I really didn't have the time to get everything put together. And today, oh, what do you know? Someone said yes, he's streaming. Cool. And today, to make things worse, I have to get more Osiris League stuff done. There's too much. There's way too much to do. Way too much to do. Let's take a quick peek at the rest of the matches. 400 against CJA looking a little close, but 400 a little bit in the lead. BMW really having a hard time against the folks of Anonymous Assassins. Kingdom Tigers and Kingdom 93 in a very solid lead against RDFI. Let's get back into the B&W match. Enjoy it. 80 beautiful people observing. 4 minutes for the next Ark of Osiris. Red team in control of the center. I believe, as much as it pains me to say this, that we can call this a GG in favor of red team. With 28 minutes, there's still a lot of time and only 10,000 points. Okay? But the problem is blue team cannot focus on 2 areas at the same time. They cannot do center as well as get the point per minute lead. And they are coming back. They have 2 altars on their side, which is super important. You're going to see the point per minute game change very, very, very swiftly. But again, the rallies are making it in. The solo swarms are making it in. And it's just too hard to come back from. Chat, I might have to leave you guys for a minute or two. I apologize for this, but I need to take this call. So give me a second. I'll be back in a second. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to leave this zoomed in here so we can watch what's going to happen here in 3 minutes. I'll be back in 1 second, chat. I apologize for that. Sorry, chat. I'm here. My apologies. When work calls and I'm supposed to be at work, I have to pick up. I'm supposed to be working. Sorry about that, chat. I apologize again. It's a work day that I, in theory, took off. But every now and then, they call with an emergency, and then I either help or go into the office. I told them I'll be in half an hour, so we finished the cast and I gotta go in. But hey, at least we get to finish the cast. It looks like things went from bad to worse for the folks at B&W. Let's swap it up. Go watch the end of a different match. Let's see what we got here. 400 against CJA. Ooh, this is looking quite close. 110 observers. Division 22. Is this Division 22? Is this Division 22? Let's see. Yes, cool. So let's go back in here. Let's take a look at what we got. Ark of Osiris in the center. Lots of presence by both teams. Buildings are pretty even. The points per minute game is locked in. 3,000 point difference means provisions in Ark of Osiris are key. This is the third Ark of Osiris that's being delivered. And so it's worth 4,000 points. It is how blue team can lose their lead if red team pick up the Ark. There is a play I would make here, which is a bit risky, but I would definitely make this play. And that is to try to get the Ark to drop on your side, which means hold on, just like these guys are doing, to this area. And the moment the Ark pops up, have a march that is a weaker march, like this one, for example, march back, and just drop the Ark. Get wrecked in the process, but if you drop the Ark on your side, that's 15 seconds that the other team has to walk around, and that'll give you an even bigger chance to potentially stop the Ark being carried. So if you ask me, in a situation like this, if you are Doric, for example, I would step back and try to just use the little bit of troops that are left just to drop that Ark away from the temple. Rally and Obelisk could be a good play to try to distract the other team. That is also correct. That is not a bad play to make. But again, when the points per minute game is even and blue team with a lot of teleports more than red, even red with teleports. King Salid, congrats. City Hall 25, that's nice. Welcome to the big boy marches. Red team picking up a Shrine of Life, taking the point per minute lead and starting to close that less than 3,000 point gap. Boy, oh boy, this could get really interesting towards the end. Blue team rallying this altar right here, rallying this altar right here. Red team with so much presence, but not going in the building. One march made its way out, and blue take the altar away, and taking the altar away is 150 points out the window. And that little bit of a lead that red team had went straight back to blue, who, if they lock in that altar in their favor, they're bound to get a nice little, 210 point per minute lead, and just deadly stuff as they keep doing their best to keep maintaining that very slight lead they have. This very slight lead means provisions are going to be very important for red team, as well as this Ark of Osiris. If this Ark of Osiris gets picked up by blue, there is still time. There is still time for red to come back. But they're going to have to let blue carry the Ark and just deliver it and hope that blue does deliver it indeed. And on the other hand, they're going to have to really step it up the next Ark. If the blue team doesn't instantly return the Ark, but goes far away with it, that is where the match could be decided. It really depends on what the blue team choose to do. Right now, red team are kind of at the mercy of blue. Because if blue pick up the Ark and just hold it as far back as they can, or just delay it for as long as they can, it's everything that blue needs to stop red from being able to come back. Red a little bit too late picking up the Ark. This guy's already a little bit ahead. And so the Ark will fall on the blue side, which are starting to carry it. An outpost was taken away by red from blue. And this backstab could make its way towards the Ark from the back and hit it hard. But there are marches in here ready to pick up the outpost as well as to take care of this march, even though it doesn't look like anyone is trying to take care of it. But there is the ability to do so. While all this is going on, red team is trying to take the altar back away from blue. And a rally is taking a huge amount of damage. Double the damage, more than double the damage for the rally on the rally against the altar itself. And now red team really need to stop this Ark from moving at any point, and that's what they're doing. The problem is this is working out in the favor of blue team. The longer it takes to get this Ark delivered, the more likely it is that there won't be another Ark. And with blue team so much in control of it, all that's going to happen is eventually they're going to deliver it or just hold on to it and make sure it's their wild card. It is worth 4,000 points right now, which means they're going to gain a nice little lead. Blue team losing the point per minute game could be problematic. With 14 minutes, it is not enough. It is not enough for red team to be this little ahead. And blue team are about to lock in this altar in their favor and gain the point per minute lead again. On top of all this, blue are rallying with a Hannibal rally. Again, a sky altar, and the sky altar should be holding steady. Desert altar also holding in favor of blue team, and blue team 90 points per minute ahead, and with the Ark solely on their side and in their favor. Boy, oh boy, CJA are really going to need to pull a rabbit out of their hat on this one, because the 90 points per minute is super tough. KW61 beat Haka. Yeah, I know. That was a very big upset. That was a cool upset. Yeah, they beat them, I think, last round. Or, yeah, to last round before this one. That was a nice little upset. The Ark marching its way towards blue side is very bad news for red, who are fighting this hard. Now, here's the thing, right? If red want to make a cheeky play, what red could do is they could try to take this outpost the moment that Ark gets closer. And then try to drop the Ark and deliver it into an outpost right here. So the cheeky play would be get a couple of marches and position them on this side. And as soon as the Ark makes it a bit closer, take this outpost away, march out with one of those marches, take out the Ark, try to grab it, and make it in. So red team could cheeky take a outpost, and definitely, as again, the defensive forces of this outpost are leaving, red team can really try to sneak this in and get a backstab on a backstab. It should be super tough. It should be an impossible play. But it is one that, if you are not in panic mode and trying to figure out how to get out of this mess, you should consider. Because the Ark has plenty of defensive forces around it that even if you start taking out every Ark carrier as time goes by, there's still enough power by blue to march it as they are, 5, 10, 20 steps at a time all the way to the outpost. Now this outpost is empty. If red team go and grab it and then manage to drop the Ark, this could be huge. But I don't know if red team are in the mental state where they are thinking about that possibility and not panicking to just stop the Ark from being carried. Very interesting stuff. Everybody is walking backwards as they were hitting the guy who had the Ark, and once the hit happened, everybody fell back. And that fallback is what blue team are looking for, picking up the Ark of Osiris. Red team really need to grab this outpost. If red team managed to grab this outpost on time, it could happen. I'm seeing one march trying to beat the Ark of Osiris, and it could maybe beat the Ark of Osiris by a little bit. Oh, it did. No, it did. Oh, it did not. There was a little, I thought it made it in. That could have been huge. Red didn't think about it. No, they did not. Red did not think about that one at all. And there was a march at the end. The march we're seeing right there is the march that carried the Ark. If red were to sneak that in, that would have been insane. But that's okay. when you're in a situation where you're like entering panic mode, it's understandable. It's very understandable. A lot of people are like, stop the Ark at all costs, instead of thinking about how about we stop where they're going. And that's okay. It's not a bad criticism against anyone or anything. 6 rallies on the battlefield, 4 of them are blue, 3 of them are red, including 1 on a city, which I'm not a fan of at all. I'm not a fan of cities being rallied by individuals who are losing the current match. We're looking at almost about 8,000 point lead for blue team with 9 minutes remaining. And so I'm not calling the match just yet because I don't think there is time. I don't think there is time. I don't think there is time for blue team to lose this. Because this is 4,500 points. It doesn't take 2.5 minutes to get the Ark, and so that's out the window. Yeah, it is GG. It is GG towards the end for blue team. Even if red start taking control of the points per minute game, and even if they close this gap, they just don't have enough time to march the Ark back home. And so, Kingdom 4K4 or 400, I guess 400, take a W against TJA. Very, very interesting stuff. And a rally with Swarm is a common theme we've been seeing quite a bit, for better or worse. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. But I'm definitely saying it's an interesting play because, as you can see, based on what's inside the building, it can cause severe damage. And it can cause a situation where you're delaying the building take, which is a big problem. ROK1 2.02 power in league is going to fall to 96 RZ, who is 1.54. Damn, that's nice. Good for ROK1. Good for ROK1. A little bit of an, not for ROK1. Good for 96 RZ, a little bit of an upset. Almost 500 million power difference. And 96 coming back with a clutch. That's dope. As I said, I didn't think that all the top 32 in terms of power would make it to the end. We would see some upsets, and there is one right there. There's a couple of them. K50 out of the play as well. Red team right now have to figure out how to get their 100. It's quite impressive. They've dominated. That's good. That's good to hear. It means strategy worked out very well for them and something went really wrong for ROK1. Let's take a look at the solo points. Let's take a look at the solo points. Red team, 3 members and plenty of time to get there. These guys are going to get there easy, and this guy's going to have a little bit of a hard time, but he can get there with not 7 minutes. And blue team, only 1 individual, about 20 points away. Definitely already got them while we were talking. So quite fantastic outcome for both teams in terms of the solo points. The team points and the victory/loss is a little bit of a tough one because a red team did have a good chance. They were holding on until the very end, but when that last Ark got delivered and the amount it was delayed, to an extent, the delay of that Ark worked out in against red team. Let's talk about that for a moment. I like that train of thought. So on the one hand, red team don't want to let blue take that Ark, right? It's a very, very important. I'm not looking. It's a very, very important IC siege. I'm not looking. It's a very important thing to stop them from getting the Ark and potentially getting it yourself, right? But at what point do you say, okay, we got to give them this Ark because we want to have another one to contest for? Potentially, if red team had said, listen, blue team have way too many people here. They dominate the Ark. It's very close to them. We got to take the risk and pressure them to return it, but we don't want to stop them. We just want to pressure them into returning it. That could have potentially given them time for one more Ark, which would have meant the gap between these two teams would have closed down a bit. It would have still been a big gap to close, but that would have given a slight extra chance for red team. So in Ark of Osiris, there are a lot of interesting factors to think of. Is it worth giving the team an Ark to be able to contest for another one? Is it worth to give up the points per minute building to get the Ark? Is it worth giving up, not giving up in anything and dividing and conquering and hoping for the best. That's why Ark of Osiris is such a fun mode for Rise of Kingdoms, because it really can vary quite a bit, and it has so many factors you should take in mind when you're playing the match, that the most important thing in Ark of Osiris is to maintain a clear mind, so you know always what your options are. When you start panicking and just doing something to react, that's when usually things go bad in Ark of Osiris. But the more you play the game, the more you understand your options. And when you when you understand every option to every situation, you're better at reacting. And so strategy, a way to adapt and evolve, ways to be a playmaker, and potentials for very good upsets are really, really what makes Ark really cool. It's so dynamic that there's so much that you can do. But the problem is you have to be also very understanding of all your options. There's another Hannibal Barca rally right there. I think that the best Ark of Osiris players are the ones who understand, in this situation, these are my options. In this situation, these are my options. In this situation, these are my options. And all options on the table. Even the bad ones you should be aware of, because you could reach a point in which one specific scenario, that one terrible option that never works, at 9.5 out of 10 times it doesn't work, you could be in that 0.5 where it works, and if you don't have that option in your head and you don't even give it a thought for a moment, dunzo. Hannibal's a good commander, but their other rally leaders much better. I agree. I don't understand the rally leading Hannibal. I really am not. Because it's not my strong point, I have a lot of respect for people who can read the map and realize where they need to be or what needs to be adjusted on the fly. Faye, it's two things. First of all, experience. Nobody is born knowing this. And secondly, one of the most important things you should think of is don't look at the macro. As I told you, the small victories are the ones that really make the bigger victories come. You need to think about the small situations. With every match, if you take it upon yourself to keep an eye on two buildings, and at all time make sure that you understand what goes on around those buildings, and in every match you take two different buildings, you'll slowly and steadily be able to take 3 buildings, 4 buildings, half of the map, a quarter of the map, the full map, and all of a sudden you don't really need to go crazy, because when you try to look at the whole map, it's too confusing. But when you break it into small pieces and learn to master every piece, that's where the better players come from. And the cool thing is, one of the things that you see in the way a lot of alliances divide and conquer, El Cid and Edward on Edward now, Ferrari on the field. Are you putting Edward as secondary? I don't think he's putting Edward as secondary as an offensive thing. I think he's using it as a march speed and using El Cid's talent trees. Although I really wouldn't, could probably put El Cid on first as well. But yeah, divide yourself into smaller pieces and try to be a master of whatchamacallit? Of a certain piece of the map. If you look at the top alliances, what they do is they divide their maps into top and bottom, or left and right. It really depends on who it is and what the strat is. So a lot of people do like kind of like this, and then this is our side and that's top, this is bottom type of thing. And they divide into 2 teams, and third team that is the center team. And then what you see is the reason it's divided like that is so that people focus only on their buildings rather than on everything. Oh. All right. Let's go take a look towards the end. 30 seconds till the end, and I am going to work. Woo! Perfect. Chat, if you haven't yet, hit a like on the stream. Thank you guys very much for those of you who stuck around with me for 2 casts, 2 long casts. Let's get those GGs in the chat for the boys in blue 400. GG to them, and also to the folks of CJA who put up a hard fight, but towards the end just couldn't hold enough. So GG's, my friends. It's been a fun match to watch, and it's been fun to cast. Quite frankly, I gotta get out of here. I've been, as much as I'd love to come and just chill with you guys for a little bit longer, I gotta get to the office or log in from here. Let's see if I can get to work from here first, and then if I have to make it to the office, I will. But I'd really prefer not to. I'd really prefer not to. Let's go take a look at the final scorecard really quickly before I leave. Lots of heals happening on both sides. Provisions very close. It was Occupation and Ark that dictated this match. Kills in the favor of blue. Heals in the favor of blue. And it looks like Occupations were very even. But at the end, Murder Inc. 400 against the CJ Army 400 or victorious. In chat, I gotta head out of here. Listen, I'll see you guys in the next slot. Thank you guys for watching the stream. I'm streaming again, hopefully at 7 p.m. UTC, unless I have to be at work, which will suck. But I really hope I get that done. Thank you again. I apologize for the abrupt end and for the missing about 5 or 6 minutes of the cast. I apologize for that as well. But the full-time job comes first. Chat, I'll see you sooner rather than later. Take care. 7 p.m. UTC, we'll be back with one more cast. We might release one of the VODs later tonight of the matches we casted. So, yeah. Take care. I'll see you guys in the next cast. Peace.